Chevrolet remaining in inventory. Together, let's drive. ArmandChevy.com. So we had 9 different answers that we put into the semifinals for what's the most iconic photo ever. Answers that came from listeners yesterday on the show. All right, John, 6 o'clock hour poll. We got to close it out. 3 photos, trying to figure out which is the most iconic. Let's all go on the record where we personally stand. From last hour, the choices were Earthrise, which is the Apollo 8 photograph of Earth, first time Earth was ever photographed. And it's a beautiful photo. Second choice, JFK Jr. saluting his father's casket, 63 at the funeral. Third choice, Michael Jordan hanging in the air. And I believe that's from the 88 dunk contest. Rhea, which would you choose?
JFK Jr.
Seltzer?
I would choose Earthrise.
Richie?
Michael stepped way over the line. The JFK Jr., yes, it is. It really pulls at the heartstrings. But Earthrise is one of the most incredible photos I can even comprehend. It's the first from space of our planet. What an amazing looking photo. That's got to win. Okay, it's got to win this hour.
I'd go Earthrise as well. John, which did the listeners go with on social media?
I think Earthrise dominated.
JFK Jr.
No.
Yes.
It's outrageous.
It's a big one. It's a big one. I mean, we had a fallen U.S. president and his son, who I think was 3.
He was young. I think was he 3?
I don't know. He was very young.
It was touching.
JFK Jr., 47% of the vote, 31 for Earthrise, 22 for Michael Jordan hanging in the air. All right, so JFK Jr., that photo goes to the finals. That'll be in the 9 o'clock hour. Here is the poll that we open up right now as our second poll, 3 different iconic photos. The Marines raising the flag at Iwo Jima, big one. Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech photograph, big one. And the Hindenburg disaster, another big one.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh, the humanity indeed. All right, get voting at Sports Radio WIP on Twitter. One of those 3 will advance to the finals, which we'll do in the 9 o'clock hour. All right, Jason Kelce joins us every single Thursday at this time. And, of course, we especially love it when it's entering a playoff game. Eagles and the Rams, the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. And Jason is always brought to us by Garage Beer. The garage always open, light beer like it used to be and is still with Garage Beer. Find Garage Beer at your local retailer or at drinkgaragebeer.com. Once again, that website, drinkgaragebeer.com. Official beer of the Kelce brothers and dads everywhere. We welcome Jason back to the show. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Joe. How we doing?
Good, bud. Excited? I'm very excited. And you know what, Jason? I am very confident. I wouldn't say supremely confident, but very confident the Eagles will take care of business versus the Rams. And, you know, we're trying to figure out today if we're actually a little overconfident. Because I will say this, we probably are.
Yeah.
But I kind of don't care because that's how confident I am, if that makes sense. that, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think if you feel like you're overconfident, you're probably overconfident. That's how it works. Yeah. I think, I mean, this is a really good team. I mean, we're in the divisional round of the playoffs, and this is one of the best weekends of football that there is because everybody left is good and anybody has a chance to win. But I do agree. I think Philadelphia is the more talented team. Yeah. I think that they should win this game. It's at the link, and the Rams had a fantastic game against the Vikings, but for sure, I definitely think that the Eagles will win this game.
You know what I'd frame based on what you just said, because I agree with you. All 8 teams are good. Not all 8 teams are great.
Yeah.
And there's 5 great teams left. It's the 1 and 2 seeds in both conferences plus Baltimore. They're the 5 teams that are left that are great. Then there's the other 3 teams.
Yeah.
And the Rams are one of the other 3 teams. But they are a lot better than they have. So how much better are they than 2 months ago when the Eagles and Rams played?
They're a lot better. I mean, they dealt with a lot of injuries early on in the season. Obviously, they had some things going on with Puka and across their skill positions, but their offensive line was really banged up. And as they've gotten healthier, they've also been young on the defensive side of the ball. They're playing really, really good right now, especially up front. So they're an improved team for sure. And I think they're clicking on all cylinders right now, especially after that Vikings game. You know, they had the last week where they kind of rested some starters. I thought that they looked just head and shoulders fresher than the Vikings. I mean, they played fast, and it was a really, really good performance for them.
How worried should Rams fans be that the emotion runs out? You know, they got a lot going on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It does feel like they got a lot of adrenaline, and you could see it in the wild card round. At some point, I'm going to assume that's hard to maintain, and I hope it runs out soon. I hope it runs out, at some point during the next few quarters that they're playing against us. What are the odds of that? I mean, how hard is it to maintain the playoff emotion?
Well, I mean, for one day a week, it's not that hard. I think, if you're trying to maintain it throughout the course of the week and, over a course of a couple weeks, it's very difficult. I think that, what they have going on over there can be a very galvanizing force. And I think we saw that a little bit against the Vikings. I also think it was, quite frankly, just they had rest from a week before. And the Vikings played a very physical game against the Lions the week before. And I thought that the Rams just looked so much faster and so much just like fresh legs, especially up front on the defensive line, where that makes a huge difference. Their D-line was getting all over the place. Everybody was getting sacks.
There were like 8
There's like
guys
6 sacks in the first half.
At least half a sack.
So it was a very dominant performance by that D-line. I think a lot of that can be attributed just quite frankly to the rest, but also to the galvanizing force that's happening in LA as well.
So how different is it playing Jalen Hurts compared to playing Sam Darnold for that defense? The way that they played Sam Darnold, when we saw 2 weeks in a row, Sam Darnold got housed.
Yeah.
If defenses try to man it up and do that same thing to Jalen, I feel like Jalen will tear their guts out as they run with their backs to him. He'll be running for first downs. How much validity do you think goes into that?
I think most teams struggle to play man against us for multiple reasons. I think part of it is what you just said, where the back is turned, and if Jalen decides to run, if he breaks through that initial defensive line structure, he has a lot of space. I also think that we have really good receivers and a lot of other things that make it difficult to play man. So, the problem that the Rams are going to have is, I think if they're going to want to stop the run game, they're going to have to contribute another safety to the box. And if they do that, they're going to leave guys out on the outside exposed in one-on-one situations. So I just think I think they're going to be in a lot of trouble in multiple ways. And they're a very good team. I just think our offensive line is much better than the Vikings is. I think that Sam, we saw the last couple weeks, something that, was probably a weakness all year, was that, he can hold on to the ball, and people, if you get pressure on him, can get, make some plays. And unfortunately, that was the way their season ended for the Vikings. But I just don't think we're at all the same team. I feel very confident that our offensive line is going to protect much better. And I feel very confident with all the weapons we have.
You think Russ impacted Jalen last game, Jason?
I think a little bit. I'd also think, I think that's a difficult defense that we've kind of struggled with that structure before.
The Green Bay defense?
Yeah, they play a very similar defense this year to what San Francisco has done in the past. And those are, for whatever reason, feels like the points and kind of how we've operated has been limited against those style of defenses. I think that the Russ definitely plays a factor, but I don't think we ran blocked particularly well either. I know the run game was better, but I thought there was more to be had across the board offensively, to be honest with you. So I don't think it's fair to just put it on Jalen. I think that there was a number of things everyone could have done better. I think from a game plan standpoint, I'm sure the coaches feel that they could have done better. So I think that there's a lot of things that could have gone better offensively. So defensively, about as good as you can do.
That was phenomenal. That was unbelievable.
The coverage and everything else. I mean, we're worried about how losing your green dot affects the coverage, about how, in the middle of the field, where it does feel like they're going to try to take advantage. Yeah, with Nakobe out.
And Nakobe not only was, he was having an outstanding game. He was balling out before the injury happened. So that was, that's really, really unfortunate. I do think, there have been guys in and out at that linebacker position all year, and it feels like guys have gone in, and it hasn't been a detriment. Even if they're not to the same caliber, it feels like the defense is still held true. So I feel pretty confident, but I understand that's a good point. Yeah.
When did Nolan Smith start dominating people? Because it seems like we as fans kind of missed that. If there was a turning point in this season,
like a month or two ago,
there was oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm trying to remember who they were playing.
Just clobbers everybody.
There is Nolan's a little bit undersized, right? And that was the big knock on him. And I think, it's hard when you have an undersized end to set the edge, that's what I think is the real weakness with an undersized. Like if we see an undersized edge, I'm telling Stout, hey, let's motion a double tight end over here and run outside zone to him, because if he can't set the edge, they cannot stop this play, right?
Yeah.
If you can do that as an undersized guy, you're also a mismatch a little bit in passing situations, because those tackles aren't built to block guys with that type of quickness.
Yep.
And that's where you have the Von Millers and all these guys that are smaller, but they play bigger and they present a number of mismatches for these bigger lumbering tackles.
Yep.
I think when you see Nolan, especially the past 2 months, he has been so physical at the point of attack, to the point where he just throws his body in there. And like, I remember him taking a counter on, and he collapses the edge, because you know that double team is trying to create space between the edge and a hole right there where the kick out. He collapses that space and then cuts the tackle, which messes up the tight end trying to pull around that. So it condenses the whole thing, accordions it. And I think there's ways to play big as a smaller guy, and he's figured it out. And I think he's doing a fantastic job right now in that aspect. And it's allowed him to be on the field more. And now he's having more production in the pass game and all these other things.
Well, that's a huge deal too. With the play that you're describing, a huge part of what we do, the power, the counter concept. Yes. You've got one puller, and then you've got a second puller who has to get in phase with that first puller. So when Nolan Smith blows up that first puller, he's not only dominating his matchup, but he's winning someone else's matchup for them, because that guy who's the puller who's supposed to be in phase with the guy who blocked Nolan is now completely taken out of the play.
And it's a completely unselfish way to play, and that's the way this whole defense is playing. I mean, you're basically a kamikaze at that point. Like, it's like, I'm just going to wreak as much havoc as I can so that somebody else can scrape over the top and make the play.
Love it.
Amazing.
He's doing fantastic.
All right, John, real quick, the ultimate Eagles kamikaze.
Brandon Short, right?
Jason Short.
1,000%.
Brandon Short was a player also, though, from
was he a giant maybe?
Brandon Short was a giant.
Yeah.
Jason, this is about 10 years before you. There was this guy named Jason Short.
Yeah.
The old punt return when you could have a wall, John?
The wedge.
The wedge,
right?
yeah.
The wedge.
He would be the guy that would bust the wedge. He would just go down there.
Full Throttle was his nickname.
How crazy.
Full Throttle.
I think about that because I actually was going to do like a fullback bit and a kickoff return like wedge unit bit for the late show, because I wanted to pay, I wanted to pay an ode to like all of these guys that had like the crappiest jobs ever in the NFL.
We were as a fullback, you were doing your fullback thing. You were running
on
the ball
wedge
45 times lead ISO per game, but you're also the wedge. Every kickoff return, you're setting the wedge.
I played with Owen Schmidt. I had a fullback for 2 years in Philly, and I just remember him a couple years ago saying, like, how crazy we used to run back.
Yeah.
Link arms like a human wall.
Yes.
And then somebody behind you would say, go!
Exactly.
And you would just run down the field.
And you would run as fast and hard as you could, and you would just kill anything that came in front of you.
Yeah.
But you would link. I think it must have been illegal to link arms, but every team did it.
Right.
We were linked up.
And then
it was like Red Rover.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like a schoolyard game just with like giant men who are way too big and powerful to be doing this. And then on the other side, there was just like a human missile whose job it was to take out as many of these guys as possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then the NFL's like, all right, no more of that.
Yeah, probably not the best plan. Human bowling is probably not the way to go.
It was wild.
It was my favorite part of the special teams meeting. There was always the day after the game, and everybody in the special teams meeting was just so geared up to see what kind of mayhem happened on this play in the game.
Well, I'll just say this quickly, and then right to the calls. The best, John, you'll remember this first Cleveland in 04. When Jason, and it's a shame, he gets a concussion on one of those plays. He's down for like 5 to 7 minutes. Everybody's concerned about him. He gets up after the commercial break and just starts screaming at the Cleveland bench.
It's like Rod Tidwell. It's like the real life Rod Tidwell right there.
Unbelievable. All right. It's got a lot of calls. Jason with us for an hour. Of course, big playoff game coming up on Sunday. In 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 8 o'clock, we give you a name. And with that name, you can win tickets to the Eagles-Rams game. And, of course, you can win those tickets tomorrow. You got to listen. In 10 minutes, 8 o'clock for a name. And we look forward to giving away the tickets.
And courtesy of NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy.
All right, I also want to get to some A.J. Brown audio this segment and more. We'll get Jason's thoughts on playing in the snow, which, of course, he most famously did as a pro athlete, of course, maybe college and high school, but as a pro athlete versus Detroit in 2013. So we'll get to that shortly. Tom in Dover. Tom, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, everybody.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, listen, Joe, I just came in from walking, I was telling you, and I must have was on delay or something, because I heard about you calling people from the tub last night, and I thought you called me from the dorm.
No. I called you from the car.
That's a slap in the
no.
face, man.
Tom, I was
That is a
dirty,
slap in the
Tom.
face. He was naked talking to you.
I was fully clothed.
Listen,
I doubt
I
that.
gotta apologize because while I was waiting for my turn, I checked Jimmy, and he called me at 5:36, so he couldn't have gotten in the tub that early.
No, it was an afternoon tub yesterday, and I talked to you more 7 o'clock or so.
I guess he felt,
An afternoon tubby.
It was,
I
actually.
guess he felt bad. I guess he felt bad, so he checked his burner phone yesterday, and he probably seen I've been texting him since Thanksgiving. That's the only.
Look, you texted me about a week or so ago, and I
It
got
feels like
back
a lot of people were hurt by your tactics.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
true.
I
Your
Yeah.
know.
burner phone tactics. You
Hurt people's
burned some
feelings.
people.
Well, the other time in my professional existence, I did something that was tactically probably inappropriate. So years ago, when I had no Twitter followers, like 100,
Oh,
1,000.
I remember when you did this.
Yeah.
Total jerk move.
Jason, tell me if this is inappropriate.
It is.
Yeah.
I what's the term?
Followed.
Followed.
Yeah.
On Twitter, I followed thousands of Philadelphia sports radio listeners because I could tell they followed prominent sports radio hosts.
Okay.
So I follow thousands of people.
Yes.
They all follow me back.
Yep.
And then I dropped all of them.
Oh wow. I mean, it's a great strategy.
Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just
It's so dishonest.
So rude. It's so rude. The excitement that you got. They're like, wow, Joe's following me.
Isn't
There's
the
no
entirety of social
accountability
media
whatsoever.
Isn't the entire
But I mean-
social media dishonest? Like,
Right,
literally-
good point, Jason.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
But to the system.
But isn't
Yeah.
this the heart of Machiavelli? The ends justify the means.
I
Didn't
guess.
they, though?
Yeah. All right. So, Tom, I feel justified.
Oh, yeah, dude, you're really treating your audience
Yeah.
well. That's smart.
All right, Tom, I feel good about it.
Hey, Jason,
What's up, Tom?
I've never got a chance to talk to you as much as I call and I listen to you, but I just want to ask you this one
Hit me.
question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about us making this run without you?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much happy for all of the guys there, all the coaches, all of the players. Of course, I'm one season out of it, so I do have part of me that wishes I could be there and be a part of something like this. But it was my time. I still feel like I made the right decision, and this is the way it goes. And it's been fortunate that it's happened this quickly for the Eagles. I think that I know so many of those guys so well. I'm really, really happy for them. And, maybe, listen, I know I'm not out there playing the game, but to a certain extent, I think that I still have had an impact on Stout in his career and some of these guys in their careers, and Cam Jurgens and Jalen Hurts. Like, I was a part of them learning and adjusting and welcoming them to the league, just like I had Todd Harrimans and Evan Mathis and Jason Peters and players do that for me. So in some ways, I feel like I'm still a part of the team, if I'm being quite frank, even though my impact is far, 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 far less.
That's great, Jason. That's
but
cool. You
yeah,
feel that.
That would be how I feel. Obviously would love to be out there with those guys and go into battle, but I think it's more just immense pride that they're getting it done, that the offensive line has played as well as they have. And
And you sort of set that tradition. I mean, you've played a huge part in creating the offensive line tradition here in Philadelphia.
Of course, no question. All right, Tom, give me an answer real quick.
I think that far preset me. I think that
Yep.
Andy Reid and a lot of people, and anyways, yeah, go
Huge
ahead.
part for
Yes.
you, though.
Tom, who deserves a crown?
Hey, listen to this, Jay. Listen to this, Jay.
Hit me.
Forget that crown that John is talking about. I mean, that Joe's talking about. Get that mummy suit out.
All
Get
right.
that mummy suit out. We're going to do it again.
All right, Tom. Good work, buddy. Love it. Love it. Jason, I was just thinking there when you were giving that answer. Thank God you won one, and obviously credit to you and the guys.
Right.
You would probably view this very different if you didn't. And I got to imagine Connor Barwin Like 2016, he's an Eagle. 2017, he's not. That's
Right.
got to be tough on guys like that.
I think it is a little bit. I mean,
Because he didn't have one. You have one. He didn't get one.
I think both things can be true, though. I think Connor was genuinely happy for me and
Sure.
other guys that he played with, and
Of
I think,
course.
of course, he misses out.
Yeah.
That he wasn't there for that. But I think that, I don't think that it has to be one thing or the other.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm probably in a similar boat here, and I think that that's okay, right? You can be happy, and also, man, I wish I was out there as well. Like, I don't think it has to be one or the
No,
other.
I'm with
And
you.
I
They're
think
not mutually exclusive.
I think it does help that I've won one for sure. I know that. I mean, I think there's reports or something out there, like when guys got hurt our Super Bowl year, there were guys that were like
Yeah.
upset about not being out there, right? And I think that that's very natural and very much a human emotion. But I think at the end of the day, you also feel good for your teammates.
That's
and
great.
the guys that are out there.
So here's a random NFL storyline, a little under the radar, but we should bring it up because it ties into the Eagles this year and the Giants and all that. Hard Knocks might not have off-season Hard Knocks again. This could be one and done.
Yeah.
So the Saquon thing, there's an NFL Films vice president that was on record on TV yesterday saying no teams are stepping up right now.
Yeah.
And the Saquon, Joe Shane phone call and John Mara, like,
You got to think that probably has
that's a wrap, folks.
probably made some GMs nervous about.
Owners too, I would think.
Totally.
Yeah, I think
Can you
totally.
imagine
Yeah,
if
Totally.
that? I mean, this what they consider superfluous production team who comes in from the outside gets you fired. Like that. That's very
That's wild, man.
They
Although
feel
Joe
like
Shane-
that's
I
what
think they've
happened.
Joe Shane
said
didn't
they're-
get fired.
I think they've
Did
said
not,
they're
right?
sticking
Did
with
not.
him, right?
No,
not
they
get
kept
fired.
him. They kept
Yeah.
Joe Shane.
Yeah, I think
But
that-
that's the fear,
Yeah, of
like
course.
he
Yeah.
came really close.
Well,
And if
and
that's
not just
me-
that, but also just an overall embarrassment.
That's the
And,
thing.
Yeah,
And
I
look
mean, I
like
think-
fools.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is there some type of competitive advantage that
No
they're
question.
always worried about when any of this stuff is happening? I mean, I thought it was absolutely awesome. And it was an interesting look into the front office, which had not really been covered before. But obviously,
Yeah.
the Saquon thing was a big negative for the Giants. So I could see why other teams would be hesitant.
Totally.
Yeah.
And also, I'll just say the methodology of Joe Shane on that, maybe it was one phone call, maybe it was two with Saquon. I thought it was, I don't know if inappropriate is the right term. I'll just say uncool, and other athletes could see it and say, because John, he was giving
No,
him,
you're right.
he was
You're
giving him
right.
the line like, "Can I have your word? Can I have your word?" And by the way, he's like, "If you really want to be a Giant for life, then come back."
You're right.
Like, it's like, dude,
It
don't
felt
don't throw
unlikable.
that at me.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know if
not
it was
cool.
his negotiating tactic or whatever
was.
it was.
It was.
The way
Yeah.
he was
The
coming
tactic.
across
Yeah.
was incredible. It felt inappropriate. It felt, I don't know if that's even the right word. Like no one could respect him as much after seeing that.
That's
and
what
it
I
was a
think.
behind closed doors situation
Totally.
that, man, it
Yeah.
makes it
Yeah.
tough for any front office member to want to do this ever again.
There's this weird thing. Well, not weird, but like, football is obviously just this intense game of teamwork and togetherness and everyone on the same page. And it's the ultimate team game that there is. And what Hard Knocks first exposed, I mean, I still remember when it was the Cincinnati Bengals and they have Jim Lippincott walks into the dorm room and cuts the guy right there. And it was like the first eye-opening experience for me as like a football player, like, oh my gosh, like these guys like do not matter to some of these people
Mhm.
upstairs. And I think this like front office version of that is like another level of that where it's like you have conversations like this where it's like, man, this is clearly like just a negotiating tactic.
Mhm.
And that's the reality of it. That's what happens when you're trying to build a roster. If you're a good GM, you're going to utilize tactics. You're going to try and find ways to maximize value.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's an unfortunate side to be public sometimes,
Yeah.
I think.
Totally.
Sometimes
Anyways.
it's unseamly,
Yeah.
and that's what this was.
But fascinating
But
for
now
the
it's
fans to
forever,
watch.
like,
Fascinating.
I mean,
It's
could
burned
not
into
have
everyone's
asked
brain.
for better content.
Yeah.
really couldn't.
Yeah.
All right, 215-592-9494. So tomorrow at this time, we give away tickets to the Eagles-Rams game. But here's the key. We're going to give you a name right now, and you got to tuck that name away and know it tomorrow at 8 o'clock, because this name tomorrow at 8 o'clock can help you win the tickets to the Eagles and the Rams. Let's crank it up and give people a name. Reminder, 4 names you got to know. The one said Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So 2 more names to go. Let's do one of them right now.
And The name is.
All right. The name is going to be a player that Jason Kelce played with the Eagles who he feels was underrated. Jason, who was
I'm naming it?
Who? Yeah, you name a
Yeah,
player.
he's been outsourcing these, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a player that maybe we knew was good, but you think was even better than maybe he got credit either locally or nationally. Who's underrated?
Can I think about this a
You
little
can
bit?
think
I feel-
about
I-
this.
Yeah, it feels weird. To
Is this getting harder and harder, Seltzer? Right?
Yeah, you're really putting a lot of,
You're putting virtually no
guardrails
effort
there
into it. You're
for-
making Jason.
yeah,
put
and yeah,
all
it's
of the
supposed to be
effort
you,
into it.
and you're just,
I'm going to go with
surprising our guests.
DeMarco Murray. He was underrated. No.
I think there's been
How about that guy?
yeah.
Who was that guy from Dallas who stunk as a receiver?
Miles Austin.
Oh,
Yeah, oh, that
Yeah.
guy. That guy.
There's been a lot of players that have been underrated. I think for me, a guy that comes to mind right away is Isaac Seumalo.
That's the name.
I love that answer.
That's a
I
good
think that
name.
He was such a great player for us, and he did a lot of things that people don't even realize
Okay, that's it.
behind the scenes. So,
That's an awesome answer.
That's a good answer. All right, so know the name Isaac Seumalo and be ready to say that tomorrow at this time, 24 hours from now, when we give away the tickets. Know the name Isaac Seumalo.
We don't have any feel for. I don't have any feel for Isaac Seumalo as a guy at all.
He didn't
Yeah.
have a personality
he
that we
also
knew
was
about.
very reserved.
That must
media
be a big
presence.
part of it. Like
Yeah.
I don't have.
Yeah.
I have no idea what he's like as a guy.
And I don't know if it's because I'm so drastically different and outgoing and gregarious with the media, but I think that I just really appreciate the guys that were no nonsense, came to the building, were almost like this maniacally consistent individual, because that was what I was not. And I'm
You were
dead
just a lot of
serious.
nonsense, and they weren't.
Yeah, like
Dude, I so get that.
Like what makes I forget his name in No Country for Old Men, but the thing that like makes him scary is
Javier
that, like,
Bardem.
he's
Anton
never
Chigurh.
like he is just like this maniacally
Yeah.
the same. He's never running. He is always just here,
Yeah.
and you can't stop it.
And he's got a nail gun.
And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's right.
Heads or tails, friendo.
Yeah. So I think, I think Isaac and a number of guys I played with fit into that category of like, man, they were just so like no frills. They came to work. They did their job. They had pride in the
Yeah.
work that they left.
Sure.
And it was, I just really think his temperament was great for the unit. His mind, he was one of the smartest players I've ever, probably the smartest player I've ever been around.
Good deal. All right, so
Anyways,
know the name
Huh.
Isaac Seumalo, and with that name, you can win your tickets tomorrow.
Courtesy of NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy.
All right, it's 94 WIP HD1 Philadelphia as we broadcast today from the Tasty Cake Studio, getting ready for the big playoff game in 3 days, and of course, 3 more to win it all. Let's talk to Dave right now. Dave, good morning.
Hey, good morning, fellas. Mr. Kelce.
What
and
up,
Miss
Dave?
Leah. How you guys doing?
Awesome.
Mr. Kelce, your documentary on Netflix, man, was really eye-opening and heartfelt. Thank you for sharing your family with us and all those inner workings of what you go through. Man, you are that dude.
I appreciate it, Dave. I really do. That was a fun thing to put together. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah. And so I just want to address all the crazy cats in this area, man, because I need to be hyped for this game coming up, man. You know what I'm saying? So my stepdad, great man that he was and big Eagles fan, he taught me never to come in a situation from like a diminished mind state or a fearful mind state. So I don't care if I got to fight the biggest kid on the block. When I come into it, I'm coming with the idea that I'm going to beat his ass.
There you go.
I'm not coming into it with the idea that he's going to maul me. So I'm really sick and tired of hearing about what's in the other guy's toolbox. I'm really sick and tired of everybody being afraid of this guy.
I don't think many are, Dave. I don't think many
Yeah,
are in
man.
this case.
Man,
He's trying to
all
ramp him up.
season-
Just
and
let him
love
go.
him. Let him
Stop
go.
interrupting Dave. He's on a roll.
Go
As
ahead.
much as I get on the radio and hear, oh, I'm afraid of starting from game one. Oh, I'm afraid of Green Bay. They do this well. And no. Here's my favorite. If the Eagles keep playing this certain way, the better teams are going to beat us. Oh, yeah? Who? Lamar Jackson, who? Burrow, who? Who beat us? Who's going to beat us? We're the bullies. We got to talk from a standpoint of we're the bullies, baby. Whether it's your stadium or our stadium, we're going to shut the windows and close the doors, turn the lights out. It's night. Everywhere we go,
Well
man.
done, Dave.
Yes,
well
Dave.
done, sir.
Dave,
Well
We're the
done.
bullies. I'm not talking from the standpoint of they need to be afraid of us.
Yeah,
LA
baby.
Rams, we're going to do you a kindness, LA Rams. Everything you're going on, your brothers in Philly, we love you. We're going to knock you in the mouth and send you home so you can deal with your personal issues because we love you and we're kind like
Well
that.
done, Dave.
Hell yeah,
That's a nice way to
Dave!
put it.
Yeah, Dave!
Sideline so you can go home and deal with your issues, man. And the last thing I'm going to say,
All right, Dave.
We need-
well,
we need-
well done.
Call.
We need Dave in the locker room before the game.
That
That's
was
like
good.
a freaking heck of a pregame speech.
That was
I've
good.
never heard of a fan manufacturing all of this slights and arrows. I know
Right.
teams do it all the time, but
Right.
then
love
you're
it.
like, well, nobody's really done that. And we're like, shut up. Let 'em
Yeah,
know.
let 'em
That was great. Well done, Dave. Great phone call. All right, Jason, we could have snow. Sounds like we probably will.
Love
This stuff always, often, I say often
Yeah.
changes. You can have more, you can have less, you can have none.
it. Mhm.
Right now, they're saying about an hour before kickoff. Playing in the snow. So first off, your personal experience, what it does for the game, and then secondarily, your sense of the impact on this game with this matchup. Snow Bowl, obviously 2013, your most famous one.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Give us your thoughts.
Well, obviously it depends on how much snow, right? Like if it's just like a little bit, it really doesn't affect the game at all. It really doesn't affect it until the ground is covered in it and it starts to affect traction. I love snow. I love snow games. I love playing in them. I love spectating them. I love being in the stands. I think it's one of the beautiful things about football is that you play the game on the day and whoever's better on that day wins. And it does impact the game for sure. It definitely makes a difference. And I just have always loved it. And, typically like if it's snowing, it just puts you in the mindset of like being a kid again and you're out there with your buddies. And like I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and the moment snows on the ground, everybody's playing tackle football because it just hurts less. And I don't know. It was just,
it really does hurt less.
Yeah.
It feels like it almost encapsulates you and like shrouds you and protects you.
yeah.
But it feels, I don't know, maybe like we
Yeah.
ice ourselves after games
Maybe
to like
that's true,
deaden
yeah.
some of that pain and keep some of the inflammation out. It's almost like it's free ice. Like God is sprinkling us with stuff that makes us hurt less. And then we're going to go take it out on each other. And it really does feel like you can lay into people just a little bit more. And it's like the perfect feeling hit every time. I don't know exactly how to describe it,
yeah,
but I
it's-
love the warmth, the extra warmth of the hit when you get tackled in the snow and you hit the ground, and it really does shroud you and augment you as a player for some reason.
Yeah, there's some weird like primal instinct I think that just like hits you when you're in the snow and like you're in this like survival like mode and you're out there with your buddies. And
Oh man.
it's just a very invigorating feeling.
There's more glee.
Oh my
There's more
gosh.
joy. It
Yeah, it
feels
feels-
like
it-
it really does transport you back to when you're out in the backyard. So there's that, like the extra, holy cow, I've got to appreciate this because it really is what it's all about.
Well, so ultimately, Jason, I want to get the answer from you. Does it help or hurt the Eagles in this situation? Let's listen to something Rex Ryan said yesterday on ESPN. He's referencing, of course, his dad, our beloved buddy Ryan, who, 30, 40 years ago, I mean, he was the guy around here. Here is Rex Ryan talking about Buddy, talking about football, talking about snow.
My dad used to say, hey, when the snow flies, man, the most physical team wins. Philly, slam dunk.
Yeah, it's a great quote.
Is he right?
Um,
And does it benefit the Eagles? Does it hurt the Eagles? Because I've heard different arguments. I've heard that. I've also heard through the years that snow and weather can help the lesser teams because wacky things happen. So how do you size this up?
I mean, it can help the lesser teams or it can hurt the lesser teams who
Sure.
are more prone to accidents. But I think it's definitely true offensively. The team that is more physical in the game plan, that is better at like running the ball and doing things like that, is going to be to the advantage. Like I think speed is going to be more neutralized and brute strength is going to be more magnified. We played, I mean, you brought up the 2013 game against Detroit. I would say that front was about as physical as I've ever seen in the NFL. And I thank God every day we played them in the snow. And Dominican Sue and Nick Fairley were wreaking havoc, and we got to play them in a game where they could not get their footing. So I think snow is to the advantage of the offensive line.
Does that hurt the Eagles' defense in a game like this where they walk in with the superior defense?
It could potentially.
Like far superior.
They're not going to run the ball like that.
But if we're talking about like pass rush, like if you go back to the Super Bowl, that we lost, like a bad field that you can't get traction on hurts a pass rush. I mean, as an offensive lineman, I always loved rain games and snow games, partially because my job was just going to be easier. Guys are going to be able to get on an edge less. They're going to be able to, their explosion isn't going to be the same. And it's their job to beat me. A stalemate is my win. So I think that the team that can run the ball better is typically going to win, but it will neutralize a great pass rush, which the Eagles do have right now. Potentially. It might not. It depends on the amount and all that. I do think it's harder to throw the ball in the snow. I mean, we played Matthew Stafford in that 2013 Detroit game.
That's right.
And they had one big throw early on to Megatron, and then after that, it was about it. Like, you just couldn't. I mean, I still remember going out there and looking at the secondary, and Detroit was wearing like their white and silver uniforms, and you could not see the safeties. Like, it was that much snow coming down. Like, I'm like, I don't like, I can see a shape of something that I think is a safety, but I have no idea who's over there.
How do you track the safeties jockeying when you can't see them? They really are disguised.
That's great, man.
So I think that ultimately, I think their team is much more predicated on the quarterback, like throwing the ball as a drop back passer. And in general, I think those offenses are hurt more with conditions like this.
That's great.
So
Love it.
That's my opinion. Yeah.
Love it a lot. All right. AJ Brown, some interesting stuff he said yesterday. We'll get to that. Jaws on Jalen Hurts and this matchup against the Rams. That and more, your phone calls and more with Jalen, of course. Your chance to talk to him. 215-592-9494. What did I say,
Jason? You said Jalen.
Oh, I'm sorry. With Jason. Unless Jalen wants to drop by as well. Good morning to you. We're back with more in a moment on 94 WIP.
Hey, football fans, BetMGM is giving you the chance to win up to $250,000 in bonus bets. It's all part of BetMGM's longest touchdown jackpot, where you'll be able to split the grand prize with anyone else who bet on the longest touchdown of the week. Easy to get started. Log into your BetMGM account today and opt into the promo. Then place an anytime touchdown wager of $10 or more on the player of your choice, up to one player per game. If your player scores the longest touchdown of the week, you'll win a share of the $250K. BetMGM lets you go all the way with the longest touchdown jackpot. Make your bets, join the fun with the sportsbook born in Vegas. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly.
BetMGM.com for T's and C's. 21 plus to wager. New Jersey and Pennsylvania only. Existing customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are unrestricted bonus dollars that expire in 7 days. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's 94 WIP's Fight for February. Catch every moment of the journey with exclusive championship coverage.
One game at a time.
Check in with Eagles insiders and live coverage the week of the big game.
There's something special about this team.
The road to the championship starts in South Philly and ends in New Orleans.
It's gonna be great.
Sports Radio 94 WIP's Fight for February.
Let's go!
The big deal reveal at Dell Toyota. Right now, you can buy with no money down and 0% financing every day.
Jack, sell them for less.
Be honest. When's the last time you had a homemade meal? For me, kids at home, it's tough to have one of those sit-down, home-cooked meals. That's where HelloFresh comes in. Quick and easy options every week so you can find the perfect recipe to get a homemade meal on the table in as little as 15 minutes. Tons of delicious recipes every week, like crispy Parmesan, herb-crusted salmon, or zesty ginger chicken and rice bowl. All you need to whip up a nutritious homemade meal is pre-portioned and delivered right to your front door with HelloFresh. Homemade, made easy. Learn more at HelloFresh.com.
Where can you kick off the new year with big savings on gig speed? Only with Xfinity, now through January 30th. Get gig internet at home for $25 a month for 1 year when you add an unlimited mobile line, which connects you to gig speed Wi-Fi on the road. Act fast today and save more than $650 over AT&T and Verizon in your first year. Plus, hurry and take advantage because right now you can also get a free 5G phone with trade-in. So save big and stay connected to what you love with fast gig speed internet and mobile. From home to hotspots, this new year, it's all about gig speeds and big savings. Don't wait and get gig speed internet. Spend less green and switch to Xfinity. Go to Xfinity.com/gig savings to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. $40 internet discount applied to mobile bill. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon Fiber Gig Plus One Unlimited Welcome Line and AT&T Fiber Gig Plus One Unlimited Starter Line. Xfinity internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to the types of perks only Caesars can offer. Download the app using promo code RADIO DYW and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets.
21 or older, new users in Pennsylvania, affiliated with Harris Philadelphia. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. For terms, see Caesars.com/promos. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
When the town is painted green, you need a place to watch the game. A place that embraces the brotherly love this passionate fan base has. A place with a great game day menu and ice-cold beers. A place like McGurk's. McGurk's Pub and Grill, now open in Royersford and coming soon to Langhorne.
For all station contest rules, go to 94WIP.com/rules.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up. Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane? Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Salt and vinegar?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
When you're in the thick of a project, Harbor Freight is the place that always comes in handy. Whether you're picking up something for your pickup truck or a power tool for your project, at Harbor Freight, your dollar always goes further. And these days, when everything seems to cost more, you can take pride in knowing that you get hardworking tools at hardworking prices. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
This is Boomer Esiason with an Odyssey Sports Minute. Sponsored by TGL, presented by SoFi. Tune in every week for TGL matches. Today's birthday shout-out goes to Joe Flacco. The 40-year-old quarterback started the Colts' final 2 games and believes he has plenty left in the tank. I think I could help some people out, said the 17-year veteran free agent. Hopefully, I get the chance. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Hey, Jetta Camera here. Isn't it time to invest in yourself? I certainly say it is. So how about you start with PI Dental Center and their decades of experience in complex dental treatment, of which I've been a patient now for 2 decades. My mom, a patient there for 3 decades with Dr. Glenn Wolfinger and Dr. Robert Slough, both sensational with what they do, both board-certified prosthodontists. They specialize in the restoration and the replacement of teeth. PI Dental Center are the originators of the teeth in a day. That's a revolutionary treatment that delivers fixed teeth and implants placed for a dramatic transformation in a mere 1 day. If you're like me and have never had a major situation and looking for year-to-year maintenance, get yourself to PI Dental Center. They'll take care of you. But if you're like a lot of other people in society, and you may be one of them, that has a major issue right now, pain, Maybe you don't like the way you look. Maybe this goes back to childhood or more recently an accident, a fall, you got banged up, and you're looking for a solution. Know that PI Dental Center, they can provide that solution for you. Get yourself to Fort Washington where they're located. Start with their website, pidentalcenter.com. Visit pidentalcenter.com to request your new patient evaluation.
94 WIP Sports Update.
Brought to you by Visit Delco. Eagles, Rams, 3 p.m. Sunday at the Link divisional round of the playoffs. Two teams met in Week 12 with the Eagles winning. Rams 6-1 since then, while the Eagles are 8-1 at home. Earlier on WIP, Jason Kelce talked about the problems the Eagles offense presents to the Rams.
Problem that the Rams are going to have is I think if they're going to want to stop the run game, they're going to have to contribute another safety to the box. And if they do that, they're going to leave guys out on the outside, exposed in one-on-one situations. So I think they're going to be in a lot of trouble in multiple ways. And they're a very good team. I just think our offensive line is much better than the Vikings is.
Have tickets to the Birds game this weekend? Make a night of it with the Eagles Game Day Getaway from Visit Delco. Go to visitdelcopa.com. Click the Eagles logo. Weather brought to you by MHS Lifts. Scattered snow showers later. High 32, currently 20. If you're looking for forklifts, a warehouse efficiency assessment, any type of material handling equipment, or if your equipment needs repairs, go to mhslift.com. Listen to every Eagles game on your streaming device. Just download the free Odyssey app or tell your smart speaker to play 94 WIP.
Sports Update on 94 WIP. Back to the WIP Morning Show with Joe DeCamara and John Ritchie on Sports Radio 94 WIP.
All right, great to be with you on this Thursday morning. Getting ready for the playoff game. Eagles and Rams. Jason Kelce in studio with us here. Reminder, Life Advice with the Hammer coming up in about an hour. So get to Seltzer and let him know what you need some help with in life. He'll choose one such scenario and fire off some Life Advice with the Hammer at me coming up in an hour. Facebook, Twitter, and the text line. 3 ways that you can interact with the show and tell us what you need help with, and I will do my best. All right, we'll get to the NFL playoffs, the other games, besides just the Eagles coming up shortly. Plus, what's A.J. Brown said, Jaws. We got a lot of stuff this hour, including a lot with Jason right now. So, Jason, our first chance talking to you since TV show number 2.
Hey, yo. Yeah.
How did you feel? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? How's it going?
I thought it was a lot better. I mean, we're still working things out. I think I was definitely more comfortable. I think I was a better host in episode 2. I thought, we had Joe Buck and Michelle Beisner Buck, and they just had such great chemistry. And Joe is just an awesome personality.
I would hope they'd have good chemistry being married, by the way. I'm just saying.
Which is not always the case.
That's right.
But they were both fantastic. I mean, he set the stage right away when he went up on stage. It was so just off the cuff, and I think that it was a lot better. So I'm looking forward to this one this week. Good. Tomorrow, got a great guest lined up, a bunch of guests. So
are those guests secret for now?
We have Roger Goodell.
Ooh, wow.
Jeez, that's kind of big.
That is big. He never talks too.
I know. Yeah, Roger, Chad Johnson, and then Andrew Whitworth.
That's great.
Nice,
so
man.
It'll be a really fun group. Yeah.
Lighting it up.
Yeah.
Now you are having a former Ram on your show.
I thought it was a good week. And Whit was in the link wearing a Lane Johnson jersey last week, and now his former team is coming to the link to play. So
I love that.
That's great. And him on the Flyers will be a thing because he really did give a nice presentation before that Rams playoff game.
I'm telling you, and even when he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year, Whit, whenever he's doing a speech, and I mean, even I would listen to Mic'd Up doing like Cincinnati Bengals speeches before games. He is freaking great, man. He is just a well-spoken guy. He's emotionally like cognizant of things at a high level, and I think that he gets to like the root, just like primal like level of things in a way that's really good. And I just think he's fantastic. Yeah.
Love it. That's great. All right, let's get some calls in here. Jason with us for a bit more. 215-592-9494. Talk to Joe and Clayton. Joe, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Let me get you off speaker.
You got it, Joe.
Good morning. How are you? Jason, how are you?
How you doing, Joe?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. Listen, I am totally positive about this game. We have the top defense in the league. We have one of the top 5 offenses in the league. We're going to take care of business.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. Jason, there's a question I got to ask you I've been wanting to ask a lot of people.
Shoot.
About college football.
All right.
The offensive linemen wear double braces. Most of them do. How come the answer is obvious for protection? How come it never translated into the NFL?
Yeah, I mean it's a great question. I wore them in college, and the moment I didn't have to, I stopped wearing them. I think that there's a few reasons. One, in college they mandate that all the kids wear them, so
and everyone hates it.
Yeah,
everyone hates it. The linemen and the quarterbacks at the places that I was, the linemen and all the quarterbacks, D linemen, offensive linemen, linebackers. They all have to wear them. And then the skill guys, the guys, DBs and the guys who catch passes, they don't have to wear them.
Right.
I felt so lucky that I didn't have to.
Yep.
Because I was like a mini lineman.
I think there's a couple reasons why guys, and there are some teams that have notoriously worn them. Like the Patriots, I believe, used to wear them, and that was a Belichick would kind of enforce that and encourage it. And there's an advantage to having the brace on, obviously, which is protection. There's also disadvantages that, you're just not as nimble and as athletic in them. You're just not. And at a level in the NFL where the D linemen are so quick and so athletic, you want to be in your optimal level to be able to block somebody, and you're hindered slightly with a knee brace. And then the other reason I think the guys in the league just don't wear them is typically the reason you wear those is because guys will roll up on you and people will get thrown to the ground. In college, that happens at a much, much higher rate because the caliber of athlete, quite frankly, is just less. And they also don't have as much knowledge of the game, so they get put in more compromising situations. In the NFL, that doesn't happen at the same rate, so people just get rolled up on less. It's not as frequent. So I think that, I've gone back and forth on it. I blew my ACL out my second year and wore a brace on both of my knees the following year. So I've done it with them on and with them off. And I think that at the end of the day, I always just liked being more athletic in the way it felt, and I was willing to take that risk in the NFL level. But
guys hate the braces. Guys hate pads. Just compare college kids pads to NFL guys pads.
I would go in my shoulder pads and remove as many padding because I hated it. I wanted it to be as little as possible. So I mean,
and the college kids are trying to get as much as possible. They think it looks cool. Somewhere along the way, even the pads in your pants. Look at college kids. They're all wearing big old thigh boards and big old knee pads. The NFL guys, they don't even have them on.
Well, you're
not. Oh, really?
So when I first got in the league, it was that you could have the option of whether you wanted to wear them or not.
And now they're little tiny plastic
little bitty things that just get you to pass uniform code.
All right, Joe, give me an answer. Who deserves a crown?
Well, a king wears a crown. His company logo was a crown, and his name was Don King, the king of professional boxing promoters.
Don King.
Clever way of going about it, I suppose.
Don King. You don't see him much these days.
His hair kind of looked like a crown.
Oh,
that's good call. Jason, yeah.
Jason, do you know that he went to jail for, I think it was 4 years for manslaughter?
I knew that there was something that had happened, but I don't think I remembered that.
That was like before he became famous. Like that's not good.
Hey.
You usually can't get away with it after you've become famous.
He's 90.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
93 for Don King.
Years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. All right. So let's do a couple more things here while Jason's with us. Let's start with the AJ book thing. Let's play AJ yesterday talking about the reaction to the book thing. Here's AJ Brown yesterday in the locker room.
A lot, but none of that stuff really matters. I'm continue to be myself. I'm not pretending. It's not a facade or anything, So who cares who don't like it, I'm a 3-time All-Pro. Yes, I'm gonna pop my
Something like
that's just what it is. That is what it is, and I do that for myself. I don't care nobody. Like, I'm not a distraction. So most importantly, I go out there and do my job. So all the other it don't matter.
All right, so AJ totally locked in. Obviously, it sounds like he's going to keep doing it. I think it's fine. It's a weird visual. Sirianni backed him. I think it's fine. But let's get to what Michael Irvin said. Obviously, premier receiver in the 1990s. And he talked yesterday on TV on FS1 about the situation.
You see yourself in A.J. Brown. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That's why when everybody said, what is he doing? I said, the man is totally focused. This is totally focused. I'm focused on my energy being good energy for the team, and I'm going to focus on me, and I know I can't let this situation take over me. I understand it because he and I are the same dude. I understand what he was doing right there, and I think all of us, a lot of receivers need to learn it and even do this right here, what he's doing, because it really is brilliant. They got through the game. And he was out there joking when Saquon didn't go all the way and run, you know what I mean? So it put him back in the right frame of mind, even though he only got one pass. I don't know if the book could have helped me with one pass in the playoff game, but it helped him. And that's good. That's good.
All right,
That's
so
very good.
Irvin being
very good.
the playmaker being the playmaker being the playmaker.
You know,
Very
he
honest answer
belched on our show, Jason.
Belched.
He actually
An audible
belched
belch.
while asking. He
wanna
took
hear it?
time out from answering a question to belch.
Here,
yeah, could
here.
we?
This is Michael Irvin belching
We
on our
have this audio ready.
Oh yeah.
All right. Good job.
There was a player a little while ago, excuse me.
Play it again.
There was a player a little while ago, excuse me. There was a player a little while ago, excuse me.
It's astounding.
Excuse me, it's so great.
I wonder if
So
we had dropped
good.
of the year back then if that would have won. So Jason, the visual is strange of a player, and look, I've made the case. I think you can make a case that either putting the content on a tablet or a piece of paper would probably be better for I'll call it the league.
Well, I
'Cause
just
it-
think the optics.
clearly
Yeah,
optics, because it looks ridiculous. But I totally support his rationale for doing it and trying to be locked in. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly very weird,
Yep.
right? And I think that you know, the visual of it, I think, is distracting, and that alone, I think, is worth, broaching. Can we just put like a couple of the passages that you really like down on a piece of paper that we can make look like a
Yeah.
game plan or something?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think, at the end of the day, all that matters is that AJ is ready to go. And if I'm not going to criticize a guy that is that good and clearly is ready to go, whatever he needs to do, I trust that. And I think at the end of the day, everybody in the Eagles knows that AJ is a great person. He's a great teammate, and he's a guy that everybody in that building loves.
Yeah.
So I think that when you approach it from that mindset, it's not like a big thing. And at the end of the day, he's been doing it also for a while, which I don't know how the cameras missed it before.
Amazing.
Right? With how many
Amazing.
cameras are out there, you would think that this would have already been brought up. But anyways, that's kind of my overall thought on it.
I agree. No, I get it. All right, a couple other quickies. No Nakobe. I mean, they should be able to overcome it. They've played a couple games without him, but it's a bummer. Look, I got to be honest. I feel worse about it for him on a personal level,
for sure,
than even the team. And that's saying something because I'm an Eagles fan. I want to see them win. But this is a guy that was on the precipice of a contract potentially. Who's going to be eligible for contract?
No doubt.
Can't imagine he gets one now. What a shame.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he's been plagued by some of these injury things, and he came out of college and it was a fantastic player out of Georgia. He's been a fantastic teammate in Philadelphia, and it felt like he was really just coming into his own this year, him and Zach Bond. And I credit that largely to his commitment. I think that the coaches, I've talked about Bobby King, the linebacker coach, before, also Vic Fangio. I just think they do a great job of getting those guys ready. And, both of those guys are playing at such a high level, especially this last game. Nakobe was playing very good.
He was great.
He's making multiple plays. So, you feel terrible for the guy because, this is a big year for him to come back and to have a big year. So
he's going to have to prove it again. I mean, that's the bottom.
Unfortunately,
unless the Eagles get him super cheap, which would be a shame for Nakobe.
Yes.
Maybe they make that type of super cheap offer, but chances are there's no offseason contract. He has to come back, prove it again, and then they try to sign him either during next season or after the season when he's a free agent.
We probably won't be ready to start the year now.
Yeah, I know.
Patella,
the patella is a weird one too.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't know. It's in some ways like the ACLs have become so like structured, and it feels like it's like an inevitability that the guy's going to come back.
It's like Tommy John surgery almost in baseball.
Yeah, for some reason, the patella is still like a weird one that you don't see that often. We have two of them. We had two guys go down with the patella this year. Which is rare.
Used to be the patellar tendon took a little bit longer, and now it's a lot longer for some reason. Like it feels like that time for the ACL has shrunk, and the patellar tendon just stayed the same. Where it's like it was always like 10 months, 12 months until it's fully feeling like normal again, where ACL, it's like 4,
Yeah,
5.
the ACL really doesn't do a whole. I mean, I shouldn't say it, but like there's guys that have. You used to call them like trick knees. The guys would play without ACLs.
Well, Dewan Blair in the NBA, remember?
You can't function your quad without your patella. So like the mechanical function of that tendon is just more important.
John Elway played without ACLs his entire life.
Remember that Dewan Blair when he came out of Pitt? He would have been a first-round pick. He ended up going to second.
The same thing.
Maybe
I
don't
I'm
know.
misremembering that.
It
That's
really
wild.
is. You got big quads. It holds your
can
leg where
stabilize
your
the joint.
ACL would too.
All right, so Jason, let's rock it through a few other things. The other three
I got
playoff
one
games.
too. I need to.
Well, go ahead, John.
The Eagles. Holy cow! The loss. I forgot what it was. Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
It's likely that he's going to interview. It's possible that he goes to Dallas. How big a loss would it be if we lose our offensive coordinator?
I mean, this is what you're going to deal with every time you're having good years, and people are going to be poaching your coaches. I think it's always a big deal whenever you're replacing a coordinator if you have to.
Yeah.
Especially a coordinator that's calling the plays. Hopefully they're prepared and they have an idea of where to go if that does happen, and if not, they'll do interviews. And I think that
does it have to be the same language type guy? Is it
it'll be up to Nick. I think a lot of this is what is Nick like? Who does he work the best with? What system speaks his language as well? And I think that him and Kellen have proven to be a really good team, just like him and Shane were a really good team, because I think they thought about the game in a similar way. And I think the language is unfortunate because it will change a little bit probably. And that's for Jalen, we've already talked about like how much he's had to do that in college, and then early in his career, like it's another year if this happens. Like I don't know that it is going to happen,
right. Sure.
But yeah, it's always a little bit awkward. But listen, they just did it this past year and it's worked out pretty good. So I think that Nick, for the most part, has made really good hires. Early, right when he got the job, and then obviously this past year he's made 2 great hires in Kellen and Vic.
I'll say.
So I think he's got a good eye for this stuff, and if that does happen, they'll figure it out.
All right, let's just rock it through the 3 other games: Detroit and Washington. I wish 2 of these 3 were more interesting. I mean, Detroit and Washington is interesting from our standpoint because Eagles play the winner if the Eagles advance, but I don't think it's going to be that good a game. Detroit and Washington, what do you think?
I think Detroit is going to win, but I've also been down on Washington all year, not as a hater. It feels like they are missing a certain amount of talent whenever I look at them and watch them play. I think that they're very well coached. I think Dan Quinn finds a way to limit run games with the players he has. And Bobby Wagner is a great player, and he can make a defense better just by being smart and anticipating and telling guys what's coming.
Yep.
And he makes a load of difference for that defense, I think. That being said, I think Detroit is so much more physically talented than them in the line of scrimmage game. I really think that they're probably going to win this game handily. I think it'll be by more than a score. And for a playoff game, I think that's a pretty big win.
Sure.
So I think Detroit will win. I think I think Washington, to me, is still a year or 2 away, but they are there. And as much as Eagles fans don't want to hear this, Jaden Daniels is very good.
A problem.
Dan Quinn is very good.
Yeah.
This is a good group that is going to continue to get better.
Changes the division. All right.
Yeah.
KC rarely blows teams out this year, but it would be a shock if they lose to the Houston Texans, right?
I think it would be beyond a shock. I mean, the one thing that, the big thing that I'm going into the game thinking about is the offensive line versus the Texans defensive line. The Texans D line, similar to the Rams, I mean, they just completely took over that game against the Chargers.
Yep.
They got a lot of pressure against a good O-line in the Chargers. And then they have a great secondary. So, I think that at the end of the day, though, they have Pat Mahomes. I think that the KC
You got a guy named Travis Kelce also.
They have Travis, but to me, this is like if as long as their line can hold up, Kansas City's going to win. I don't see the Texans offense doing much against Kansas City's defense.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And then the big one, other than from our standpoint, I mean, Buffalo and Baltimore is an all-timer.
Oh, yeah.
It's an all-time division round game. Who wins?
This is the toughest one. I think
it's the toughest one in years.
I think that, again, if we're looking just at the rosters and talent-wise, I think Baltimore is probably the most talented team left in the AFC. I think that they're loaded. That being said, Baltimore can also be the most self-destructive potentially in the AFC. Like they have a tendency sometimes to just make mistakes, and it's cost them in the regular season. But I do not think Buffalo is going to be able to stop the rushing attack for Baltimore.
Wow.
I think Baltimore will probably win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen and the Bills pull it off.
Okay. You going to the Eagles game on Sunday?
Can't wait.
Good for you, man.
Let's go, baby.
Is that sideline? So where are you? Suite, sideline. What do you? How do you?
We got a few people coming, so we're all chipping in for a suite. Yeah,
Good, man.
Doing it big. Yeah,
we'll enjoy it, Jason.
A hoity-toity action.
You have
fancy Jason Kelce over here. Yeah,
but still drinking garage beer.
Well, in the link, that's hard to get. They got some, but yes.
All right. Well, Jason, enjoy the game, man, and thanks for being here as always. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
There he is, the great Jason Kelce. All right, 215-592-9494. We got to close down the Twitter poll from the 7 o'clock hour. So let's give the results of that, and then we'll get to the final two polls. So Twitter poll question brought to us by Armin Chevrolet. In 2025, Armin Chevy proudly celebrating 25 years of serving the automotive needs of the Delaware Valley. Together, let's drive ArminChevy.com. All right, poll question from last hour. Which of these is the most iconic photo? So the three choices were the Marines raising the flag at Iwo Jima, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, photograph of that, and the Hindenburg disaster. James, which of those three would you personally choose?
I would choose Iwo Jima.
John, which would you choose?
Yeah, I think Iwo Jima takes it.
Okay, Rhea, which would you go
Iwo
with?
Jima.
I agree. I agree with that. All right, John, how do you think the results came in?
Probably similarly overwhelming. For Iwo Jima, let's say 73%.
74.
Wow.
You're good. 74% Iwo Jima, 18% I Have a Dream speech, 8% the Hindenburg. So in the finals will be JFK Jr.'s salute to his dad's coffin and the Marines raising the flag at Iwo Jima, and now one more poll semifinalists that we need to determine which one advances to the finals in the 9 o'clock hour. Here
Can we just add Earthrise in for an extra, because I think it
lost,
deserves to win, or at least to be competing.
This ain't double elimination, man. The people have spoken.
I just think that's a mistake.
All right. Well, JFK Jr. saluting is a big one, man. I mean, that's not,
I know.
All right. So here are the final three semifinalists. The Times Square Kiss, VJ Day, end of World War II. That's a huge one. Marilyn Monroe's dress getting blown a little bit there. And the atomic bomb. Okay.
I feel good about this one, actually. I feel strongly.
Well, it's either going to be bomb or Times Square.
I feel strongly. I'm not going to say
fair enough.
where I feel strongly,
Fair enough.
but
we'll say. So get voting at Sports Radio WIP on Twitter. We'll close that one down in about a half an hour and then have the three, whichever they are, in the finals in the 9 o'clock hour. All right, 215-592-9494. Let's talk to Liz in Fairmount. Liz, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, Liz.
Let's go Birds.
Indeed. I like how you just cut to the chase, Liz. You know, like why
She's
beat
very matter of
why
fact.
beat around the bush? Just
Yeah.
get right to it.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm
Although
good.
it is more like a go Birds. Let's go Birds. That's more of a Flyers thing. That's let's go Flyers.
Yeah.
The Eagles thing is normally go Birds.
Go Birds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you got
Yeah,
for us, Liz? Anything else or just that?
No, you were asking about the crown, and I think Big Dom gets the crown this week.
Big Dom. Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
Big Dom. All right. That's a good answer, Big Dom.
Yeah.
It was in the
so.
news this week a little bit.
He was in
You know,
the news.
handling
A little
business,
bit.
as they say.
He's a business handler, is what he does.
Exactly my point.
All right, Liz, well done. Thank you for the phone call. Let's go to Ed in Phoenixville. Ed, good morning.
Morning, team. How's everyone doing?
Doing well, Ed.
So I'm sort of mulling the Kellen Moore status, and I really don't feel his departure would be that impactful in Jalen. I really think it's important to hold on to Doug Nussmeier, their position coach, because I think he does very well with quarterbacks, just to have that kind of continuity similar to what Statlin's had with his O-line. Not to say that any system could work with Jalen. It obviously can. But I think in terms of his development, Coach Nussmeier would be able to bridge any sort of gap as far as learning a new language with play calling. Just want to know what you thought about that, John.
Sure, I anticipate you'd try to keep everything as similar as possible. Everything else if Kellen leaves, but we know that when coaches take off, sometimes their friends join them.
Sometimes.
If they're in a position
And he came with them here,
of
didn't
power.
think
They
so.
have been together for quite a while. Those two, haven't
Wow.
they? Nussmeier and Kellen Moore.
I wonder if he'd be the OC in Dallas.
Probably.
That happens sometimes.
So, yeah. And this is just another one of those side effects that I have a major problem at the very root of it all is the fact that we tried to hire a coach who was going to call plays and he failed at that. That's why we have this Ferris wheel or merry-go-round, whatever you want to call it, that it's instability that the bottom line is our quarterback is being delayed in his development and progress to some degree. Arguably, how much I don't know, but man, having a new language every year, having a new offense every year, it has set him back.
All right, Ed, give me an answer, my man. Who needs a crown?
I don't really have I'm just going to go ahead and say the Hammer.
Well, I agree. I mean, I'm not going to vote for myself because that's not my style.
No.
Wait a minute. Maybe it is, actually. But I'll write myself. I was said earlier, so I can't win. All right. So, A.J. Brown.
That's not why you can't win.
Well, that's probably true.
We wouldn't vote for you.
That is definitely true.
More so,
even if I voted for myself.
One vote.
Yes, I would get outvoted. That is true. All right. So AJ did not practice yesterday. Officially listed on the Eagles injury practice report as not having practice for knee/rest. Knee/rest. So we've wondered. Was he, a little banged up in the game last week? Did that affect?
He was sitting out last week on Wednesday for knee/rest.
Exactly.
Also.
Exactly.
So my answer to that was he banged up in this last game. He sat out exactly the same way prior to the game. So my answer would be probably not.
They're
I would say
managing him.
no. He's a little banged up. They're managing him
That's
right
all,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a little
fine.
He's fine, but also a little banged up. He's not. He's not
just like everyone else. And
everyone he could be more banged up than
ready
others.
To go, except Nakobe Dean for this game.
All right, so let's get to AJ Brown. Something he said yesterday. So James, I'm going to tell you right now there are 3 words that you're about to hear from AJ Brown that will stand out to you near the end of his answer.
Oh, great! Can't wait to hear what they are.
I just want you to know that.
Okay, good.
But he's talking about his.
Is it hello, James Seltzer? They say that to me now. Okay, I was just checking. Okay,
but I want you. He's talking about the health situation, being banged up or not, that whole deal. All right, but listen carefully to 3 words he says near the end of this. I think 2 or 3 answers here. Here's AJ Brown yesterday.
AJ, how did the knee feel after the game? I know you weren't at practice today. Was that the same as last week, just managing it?
Yeah, I felt fine after the game. Came out clean and. Just all a part of the plan. I'll be out there tomorrow. So.
Did you feel like this helped out there on Sunday, or do you feel like your knee impacted you?
No, I was fine, moving around fine. I was open, and I was cool.
Yeah, I was open.
Slid that in there, did he, Joe?
Just threw that in there.
He just
always open though. That's his thing.
That is his thing. I think that was in response to. Let's be honest, because it's caused a lot of consternation amongst people. To Orlovsky going, not open, not open, not open, not open.
I agree.
I don't, I
agree.
I mean, as much as, some people want to just totally defend Jalen, the receivers don't like to hear that.
Well, he knows he was open on the deep pass on the fake push.
Which was a great play call, by the way. I love that.
And smart on the third and 1.
Every play. Every wide receiver who's worth his salt believes, even when he's covered, and that is the case with AJ.
Well,
when he's covered, I'm throwing it anyway.
They were open,
Jalen
John, on
not
Sunday.
Throwing it when he's risk adverse.
That's right. So, James, should we not talk about this to not cause a problem for the Eagles?
I actually think that. So I actually don't take it the way you take it.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't.
a little bit.
No, because this is what he always does. He has a thing on his locker that says, "I'm always open." I think that anytime he answers a question like that, he's going to throw in, "I'm open." Like
I think he went out of his way this time.
I don't.
Yeah,
I think you're making a little something out of nothing. I do.
Right.
He picked up the book when he knew they would be on him.
He was frustrated.
He was frustrated.
Frustrated.
James, I don't have a problem with them doing it. I absolutely think It was not the question that was asked. My niece, I'm
let's listen to it one more time so people can hear and assess, just the methodology of how he got to throwing those 3 words in.
Jamar Chase was saying the same thing all year about Joe Burrow.
He's not in Philadelphia.
He's not in Philadelphia.
And
understand
I just think it's the way he talks.
It could be.
His Twitter handle is always open.
Let's listen to what he said. You be the judge.
AJ, how did the knee feel after the game? I know you weren't at practice today. Was that the same as last week, just managing it?
Yeah, I felt fine after the game. Came out clean and just all a part of the plan. I'll be out there tomorrow. So.
Did you feel like yourself out there on Sunday, or did you feel like your knee impacted you?
No, I was fine, moving around fine. I was open and I was cool.
I feel it even more after the question. Did you feel like no, seriously though? Did you feel like yourself out there? His self is always open.
Sorry, James, not buying it.
I'm totally with Ray.
Well, you disagree, Richie, and I agree. I think honestly,
wrong.
he asked, "How do you feel like yourself out there?"
John, it's a difference of opinion. It's not being wrong.
His self is always open. That's his self. That's his identity.
Okay.
That's his thing. Did you feel like yourself out there? Yeah, I felt good. I was open. I'm out there.
But
that's what he says. I think you're making something out of nothing. I really do.
All right, so I'm with Rhea, but 2-2. People can be the judge. What do you make of it? 215-592-9494. Let's talk to Will right now, Northeast Philadelphia. Good morning, Will.
Voltron, how y'all doing?
Super, Will.
What up, buddy?
Oh, man, great to hear from y'all. Thank you for accepting my call.
Of course.
I just, you know what? I think we're gonna have a great game Sunday. What I like to see is like I've been saying the whole season, expand that playbook and activate all your weapons. Everybody. Like, I
don't know about expanding the playbook. Just do what they do. Run it a ton.
Yeah,
keep it simple. Frankly, keep it simple.
I said that yesterday. Keep it simple. Back to the basics. But sometimes you got to give them a different look. You know what I mean? Just to throw them off.
Well, sometimes, yes, that's right. Sometimes
I like to see some hurry up offense. Because we could wear that defense down. Once the defense wore down, then we can have our way with them. And the main thing is, if we can, every drive, whether it's 7 points or 3 points, we want to put up a score against these guys, because these guys got a great arsenal, and we want to have good clock management and just score almost every time we go down, even if it's a field goal.
Well, of course, that is the objective, to score until you take a knee.
Absolutely. And
unfortunately, they don't do that often, but that's a whole nother matter.
I think as long as the gameplay is right, I think we're going to execute everything.
No. As long as Jalen's right.
Come on.
Yeah, because the team's just one guy.
No, but the other guys are going to do their job. It's the question is whether Jalen.
Because only one guy fluctuates with his performance.
He's the only guy that fluctuates as dramatically as he does.
Well,
Saquon. When does Saquon fluctuate? He don't fluctuate.
That's
so incredible to me.
No, am I wrong, John?
He's the starting quarterback. He always gets the most highlight, most spotlight.
There are games where he stinks in the passing game.
Yeah.
I mean, there are. Last week was one of them. He stunk in the passing game.
Hey, just long as that play calling is good, we're going to execute. That's
all right, we'll see.
It amazes me that we don't have any idea what his assignment is, what his expectations
are, Read the defense
what
and
he's being
throw the
asked
ball.
to do. We don't know how
on a
he's
passing
being asked
play
to read that defense.
No, we don't know that, but we know.
It amazes me that we just assume he's doing it poorly when it doesn't
hold
work.
on. Do you think I'm
when
wrong
the
to
wide
assume
receivers also are accountable for their actions, and the offensive line also is accountable for its
You're
actions
going into
and
excuse
performance.
mode, though, right now. I mean, you really
No,
are.
I'm not.
He was the worst Eagles offensive player last week, perhaps other than Dotson, who no one pays attention to, right? I mean, no question.
I don't know.
Well, I do know. There's no question.
Eagles offensive player.
No question.
I've never tried to evaluate it quite like this, but sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was. And that's
maybe he I don't know how he would have graded out, but it does amaze me that so many people with no idea of how to read a progression or what a progression is.
Yeah, it's not about progression.
And we're saying that he's doing it wrong. We don't know that.
He played bad last week.
He played average last week.
He played bad.
Average, according to Ray Didinger, would be being kind.
Exactly. Will, give me an answer, my man. Who deserves a crown?
Do they have to be alive still?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the best president we had, Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. Holy mackerel. If you're going to go with the best president, I didn't expect the name
I
Jimmy
did not
Carter
expect
to be said.
that.
No,
Maybe
but anyway.
best person.
Yeah, he got
president. Maybe you could say that.
He became much, but like people thought much better of him after he was
Best
in
human
office.
to ever be
Yeah, as in,
president,
like,
or
he-
one of them
yeah,
up
You
there.
can go with best president Abe Lincoln or Jimmy Carter. All right, you be the judge. All right, 215-592-9494. Coming up, we'll talk to Sheil Kapadia, Life Advice with the Hammer, and also your phone calls as well. Sheil previewing